Here we go. We're going to start, we're going to warm up with some jumping rope. Okay, let's go down to the floor and we're going to do a progression of bird dogs. So let's start on our hands and knees, get our back in a neutral position, draw the abdominals in but do not flatten your back, and then extend your left leg out, squeeze your glute, lift your right arm, but only lift that arm with your mid back. Don't overlift it, okay, or don't over elevate it, I should say, okay? Now, while you're in this position, if you want to elevate a little bit higher, draw your stomach in, make sure it's drawn in, and then push against, you'll see you'll be pushing against your stomach now. Lots of weight in the stable arm. My left arm's down, so I'm going to be putting weight into that stable arm. And if you want, you can start to push your hip away from the knee that's on the ground and push your foot that's in the air away from your hip. An abduction, so we're abducting a little bit. Okay, back up on your feet. Remember which side you were working on that bird dog. So this time we do the jump rope, and you're going to do single leg. So you can switch anytime you want, but always hop on one foot. Oh, someone's coming on. There she is. Hey, Erica. Sorry. Okay, back down to the bird dog. So now we're going to go to the other side. So get your body stable, extend the other leg out, and elevate your arm with your mid back. Keep your elbow joint straight. Keep your knee joint straight or extended. Knee extended, elbow extended. Draw the stomach in if you want to try to elevate a little bit more. Squeeze your glute, squeeze your mid back. Slightly abduct, so we're going to push our hip a little bit away from our knee that's on the floor. And we're going to push our foot that's in the air a little bit away from our hip. 15 more seconds. Keep that weight distributed in that arm that's on the ground, through the tricep, through your shoulder complex. 5 seconds. And back up on your feet. Okay, this time your jump ropes, everything's lateral. So it can be 2 feet or it can be 1 foot, but every hop is going lateral. Good work. Okay, back down on the ground. This time we're going to go into the, start with one side of this bird dog, get your leg extended, and then start pumping your arm, just your arm. So we're moving our arm with our shoulder blade, or our mid-back I should say. Keeping the elbow extended, not over elevating. You'll know you're over elevating because your back will start to collapse, or your neck will start to trigger your traps. Alright, let's go to the other side. Extend that leg, get that glute nice and tight, and opposite arm pumping up and down. Okay, good job. All right, then next exercise is our mobility. Okay, so we're going to start our mobility. We're going to do all the mobility on the ground. So go ahead and lie back, and I'm going to set you up in position, which is we're going to start with, well, it doesn't matter. Just take one of your hands and slip it under your fingertips, under your lower back, and then put a couple fingertips under your butt. Okay? You can do both hands or one hand, doesn't really matter. And then we're going to start just bringing one leg up, keeping the knee straight and bringing it up and down. Now what you're looking for with your fingers under your back is that you want to keep a space, a neutral space under your back, between the floor and your back. And your fingers are there to see, well, am I pushing my back into my fingers? Am I keeping it stable? Keep that pelvis stable. That'll keep your back stable. Good. Alright, now we're going to go to the other side. Same rules apply. Keep that stable back. Keep your knee extended. Don't let that knee bend. We don't have to over kick our leg. We can just go to the ability of your range of motion of your hamstring. Don't let the knee bend because we want to keep that big hip flexor, the rec fem, on and helping out. Okay, good. Next exercise. So you're going to do this same thing with the fingertips. We want to control the back and we want to have some feeling underneath our glutes. So we're going to use our left leg first. So make sure your left hand is underneath your back and you got some fingers underneath your butt. So you're going to bring the knee up in flexion. And we only go as far as we can without moving that back, obviously. Now we're going to push the knee down towards the ground. You should feel your glute contract and push into your fingers, and then swing the leg back to where we started. Okay? Good. So bring the knee up. Push the knee out with the glute and swing it back around. Awesome, good. And also, even though we're controlling, keep going, even though we're controlling our back, we also don't want to lift the other hip in the air. So you're not changing the other hip or the pelvis of the other side and elevating it. You're keeping it neutral or stable and level. Keep the stomach muscles drawn in. You're going to need them to help stabilize the spine as you move through this motion. And push with the glute and down. Okay, let's go to the other side. Switch hands. And you elevate the knee, push that knee down. Don't let gravity push it down. Use your glute. You should feel your glute contracting as you push that knee out and down and back to where it belongs. Good. Keep everything stable. Focus your energy on that lower back, on the pelvis. Trying to keep it nice and stable. Focus your attention. Your energy should really be in the glute and the abdominals. Okay, now we're going to do back to the left side. You flex the knee like we did before, but push it across your body. So we're going across the midline and then back down. Now this, you're not going to have the same amount of range of motion, and try not to elevate. And this time your glute might not contract, but try not to elevate the hip off the ground. It's just your knee. Your knee is traveling across your body, but it's not moving that hip off the ground or elevating the hip off the ground. And then back down. So you got to use your inner thigh. So we push across with our inner thigh and let the inner thigh and the quad control the movement on the way down, and the stomach stabilizes the pelvis as we do so, being sure not to manipulate the back. Oh yeah, that's another point that I should have mentioned, is that when you do these exercises, we're trying to keep the space underneath our lower back, but we're also not trying to create more space underneath the lower back as we move that leg down to the ground. Okay, let's go to the other side. So we bring the knee up, we push it across our body, and then back down to the ground. Up, across, and back down. You may notice there's a difference in mobility. You might have a little bit more range of motion, or it just may feel easier from one side to the other. Let's do a few more. Okay, now let's go back to the other leg and just hold the knee perpendicular to the floor. Okay, so it's straight up and down. Your upper leg is straight up and down. Your lower leg is parallel to the floor. And now we're just going to sweep and rotate, or really just rotate the hip. Okay, so it looks like your lower leg is like a windshield wiper, and it's sweeping from left to right. Good, and do it a little slower. We're doing mobility. We want some speed, but we don't want to do ballistic right now, not with this exercise. Okay, and try to feel the difference. Try to feel like if I'm pulling my foot across my body, feel those muscles help out. And then when you push the leg or the foot out, outside your body, you'll feel different muscle groups helping you out. Okay, let's go to the other side. Lower legs perpendicular to the floor. Upper legs perpendicular to the floor. Lower legs parallel to the floor. Windshield wiper. Good. And again, notice, was there differences between the left side and the right side? Was there differences between internal and external rotation of the hip? Pay attention to those. Okay, let's turn over on your knees. We're going to do a quick lat mobility. You're going to put your hands behind your head, your elbows on the floor. Try to connect your butt to your heels, and just walk your elbows away from your knees, okay, as far as you can. Just keep walking them out there as far as you can. And once you get to the end spot, just push your hip further away from your elbows and your elbows further away from your hip. Okay, come up, bring your hip up high in the air. Now walk your elbows out with your hip. Your hip is basically over your knees. Walk your elbows out as far as you can. And now push the hip towards your feet and then bring it back over your knees. Push towards your feet and back over your knees. Nice. Try to push your chest towards the floor. And we're putting our lower back and our mid back in extension as we push our hips back. And then we push them back over our knees. We push them towards our feet. And then back over our knees. Towards the feet. Over the knees. One more. Feet. And knees. Good. Whew. So you should have felt. All right, strength work. So you're going to, the next two exercises, you're going to need, the first exercise, we just need a mat on the floor. Second exercise, you're going to need the underside of a couch. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm pointing to that. Underside of a couch or a heavy object to hold on to. And I'm going to show you real quick which two exercises so you got an idea. The first exercise is the snow angels. We're on our back. We're moving our arms in this fashion. Second exercise is we're going to engage our lats by lifting up on the object, and then we're going to do these lateral flexions of the torso, and I'll explain that when we get to it, okay? Just so you have an idea of what your positions need to be. Okay, so let's go down on the ground, on our backs, and so we're going to keep the elbow against the floor. Try to rotate, externally rotate your shoulders so your fingertips or the wrist or the back of your hand is touching the floor. And then you're going to try to control the lower back. So we're going to try to push the lower back towards the floor. It doesn't have to touch the floor, but that's the idea. Drawing the belly or the abdominal muscles inward and trying to push the lower back down. We definitely don't want to go into extension, spinal extension. We want to keep it neutral or a little bit of flexion. And then we're going to try to, make these little snow angel patterns here. Keep the elbows bent. You don't have to straighten your elbows, but keep the elbows and the hands or the fingertips connected to the floor. And go ahead, we'll do probably anywhere from 10 to 20 of these. And you're going to be hitting sticky spots. In other words, I'm not quite able to get my elbows to my rib cage, so I'm going to work on that. I'm going to try to get those elbows to the rib cage. I'm not quite able to get my fingertips to touch without my elbows lifting up, so I'm going to work on that. Can I get my elbows down and touch my fingertips? Can I get my elbows to my rib cage? Control that lower back. You'll see every time you move, it's going to want to extend. And we're going to try to keep it neutral or stable in a neutral position. Nice work. All right. Everyone's got those down. All right, let's go grab our object. Now remember to push up on that object because that's going to engage the lats. So it's like, I can't describe what it's like. I guess it's like a close grip lat pull down, but regardless, the motion is like elbows are being driven this way. And so if you're holding onto your object, it's, you still got that motion or that intention, but you're obviously not going to be moving because you're holding onto a couch or something. So that engages your lats. Now slightly elevate the pelvis, not the whole back, just the pelvis. Your lower back should still be on the floor. Try to squeeze your right pelvic bone towards your right rib cage, and then try to squeeze the left pelvic bone towards the left rib cage. So you're kind of sweeping back and forth. Limit the rotation from left to right. It's, if you know what I mean, your knees should be pointed towards the ceiling the whole time. That's it. We'll try to get 10 on each side. Keep using those lats. That anchors your torso down and gives your abdominals and your obliques something to hold on to. It creates more torque for them, so it makes it harder for them to lift your pelvis, harder for them to sweep your pelvis, creating more tension, adding resistance. It's also a great way to work your lats, considering we don't have pull-up bars on machines. Okay, that was good. That was fatiguing. All right, nice job. Let's go back to the snow angels. We'll do 10 to 20. And go at your own pace. Remember, try to push through those sticky spots. Pay attention to how much contact you have with the floor. Pay attention to your lower back, making sure it stays stable. You should also be feeling your shoulder blades more importantly. It's probably the most important thing, is your shoulder blades are kind of sweeping with your elbow. So they kind of tilt. Well, it's not really a tilt. It's kind of a rotation. They kind of rotate. And the bottom portion of your shoulder blade kind of moves. And the top portion of your shoulder blade connected to your shoulder, into the clavicle area of the shoulder. That's kind of like the pivot point. Or the axis. We're rotating around that. With those squeezes, try to increase that range of motion. All right. Ooh. Okay, grab onto the object. Lock your torso down by using your lats. Elevate the pelvis and go ahead and laterally flex that lower spine. Using those side muscles to squeeze the rib cage or the pelvis up towards the rib cage. Knees remain pointed towards the ceiling. Okay. Whew. How does that feel? Everybody should be feeling their lats. I mean, it's not like doing like machine work with your lats. Like you're not feeling that kind of tension, but you definitely should feel some heat going into the lats. Okay, next two exercises. We are going to need an elevated surface. Like I see everybody has a couch. Harris has a physio ball, which is perfect for this. So we're going to start by, it's like a seesaw. We're gonna put our shoulder blades and our head on the object. So if you have, like Harris has the ball, he'll use the ball. Everybody else has a couch. You just rest your head and your shoulder blades on the couch, and we elevate the hips. And then what happens is we're going to drop the hips, and we're going to pivot at the lower portion of our shoulder blade. So our head comes up, the hips go down, like a teeter-totter or a seesaw. And then we push the hips up, and the head drops down. So that the axis is right at the lower shoulder blades. We keep the torso nice and stable. We're not doing this extension, flexion of the torso. If the torso stays stable, the hips move up and down. So we're going to do one leg, hips down, push up, okay? So if you have a couch, you're nice and comfortable. The ball's a little bit challenging because it moves. And this box is horrible because the box is digging into my back, but I'll deal with it. All right, and now, as we discussed last week, when we do these bridges, a lot of hamstring is included. With this elevation, we should be able to recruit more glute. So don't overextend and put your energy into the glute. You should be able to get more glute drive. And 10. All right, let's go to the other side. And move your foot around too. Like if your foot's too far away, you're going to get more hamstring. If the foot's too far in, you might not get anything. So just find that good spot that helps you get more glute recruitment. Drive through the heel, that helps. If you just think about driving through the heel. Keep your foot straight ahead too. Like Roseanne, turn your right foot so it's straight ahead, not turned out. Yeah. Good. It's not easy. All right. That's about 10. Ah. Good. That was good. Nice and challenging. All right, now back extensions. You're going to keep your butt over your feet. You don't have to sit on your feet. We're going to put our hands behind our head, rest our elbows on the floor, and then we're going to go into a position that's kind of like 45-degree angle, extending the lower back, extending the mid back, and then come back into rounding, okay? Yeah, don't go up too high. The more angle we have like at a 45, the better. Yeah. You can let your elbows hit the floor. That's definitely okay. It's helpful actually. You put the same muscles on stretch, and then we flex them or contract them. Let's get 10 of these. You can go at your own pace. Move those shoulder blades down your rib cage. Don't let them come up towards your ears. That's important. We don't want the neck to help out. We're trying to get into that lower back and the mid back. You'll feel your hamstrings helping you stabilize. That's quite all right. Oh, whew, that's harder than the bench we have at the gym. Okay, here, I got a little smarter. Let's go back to those hip thrusters. So doing single leg thrusters. Great job keeping your torso stable. That's very important. Drive through the glute. Ten on each side. Yeah, I did, just adding this little pad to the box I have, it created just enough instability that was really difficult just to hold myself up. So I can imagine the ball is really tough. All right, let's go back to those back extensions. Now, if you were doing really well, which I don't expect anybody was doing really super well because we don't do these a lot, you can move your hip higher in the air and it'll make it a little more challenging, but it's not necessary. The most important part is the shoulder blades move down and you get into that extension of the spine, okay? Go ahead and get 10, nice and controlled. Put the energy into the mid-back, right down to the lower back. Keep the energy away from the neck. Nice job. Extend your back a little more, Gene. A little bit more. Get that lower back in it. Go up higher, higher, higher. That's it. Get that lower back involved. Okay. Very good. So those big muscles in the back that we just worked, those tend not to be, they get irritated when we do yard work and stuff like that. And they do get a little abused when we sit, but they also get tired when we sit quicker. All right, so we have, I think, 6 different exercises, technically. The first one is the most challenging one. It's going to be 30 seconds of a side plank, but with abduction. So it's 30 seconds of this. If that gets too fatiguing, you can just lay down on the ground and just do the abduction, or you can just hold yourself, in a side plank. Okay? You have your option of doing a side plank like this, or you can do a side plank like this. Okay? So that's 30 seconds on the right. Then we automatically quickly switch 30 seconds on the left. We do that 3 rounds, no break, and then we continue to the next exercises. All right, so the next exercises are actually for a full minute. I changed it to a minute because the first class was doing this so well, they weren't rushing through it. It was better to do it for a minute. So we do knees to feet. We start on our knees. We use one side at a time. So I'm going to use my right leg to stand up, and I'm going to use my right leg to let me down. Right leg to stand up, right leg to let me down. And keep mindful of where your knee position is. We don't want to lean forward like this to come up and down. We want to pretend there's a wall right in front of our knee, and we don't want to hit the wall with our face. Okay, so we're going to keep that torso upright. Oops, did that wrong. We're going to go all the way down, all the way up. Okay, one other point about this exercise is when we come down, don't do this. Don't sweep your leg across like this to get up. Use that hip flexor. Come straight up. Keep a nice straight line with that foot. And straight back. A lot of times I'll see people sloppily go out to the side because they don't want to lift their hip flexor. Okay? So that's 1 minute on one side, 1 minute on the other side. We have to do 4 rounds of that to make it equal. Okay? Then the next 2 exercises are hip abduction. So we just go into a plank and we just extend the hip walking back and forth. Okay? Just like that. We do that for 30 seconds, and then 30 seconds we do the Thai sit-up, which is we're kind of extended and we bring everything into flexion, bring everything into extension. Okay? Contraction, eccentric, concentric, eccentric. Okay? 30 seconds, and then we repeat that. No breaks. Okay? Here we go. In 10 seconds. I'll put this next to the speaker so everybody can hear it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, 30 seconds. We go into this plank abduction. Both sides are working. You're going to notice the side that's towards the floor is working a lot harder, actually, than the side that's moving. 10 more seconds. All right. Ugh, told you, that is tough. Okay, let's go to the other side. Put that energy through the arm, through the lat. Five seconds. All right, back to the other side. Again, you can change your position. You can go to the floor, closer to the floor, higher up. 15 seconds. Kara's rocking it out there. 5 seconds. All right, good work. Whew. This is not easy for me. All right. 15 seconds. 10. All right, back to the other side. 15. 5 seconds. Okay, let's switch. Fifteen seconds. 5 seconds. Okay, knees to feet. If you need something to kneel on, roll up your yoga mat or something, okay? 1 minute. You're gonna hear a timer go off, just ignore it. Stay on that same side. Yeah. Keep staying on that same side. Yes, exactly. Go the other side, you can switch. You start using your other leg to bring it up and down. Keep your foot straight ahead and make sure your foot is moving in a linear pattern. I think we keep going. Yeah. Okay, then you can switch sides. Keep going. Keep going that same side. That's it. Keep moving that foot in a linear pattern. Keep your torso upright. Use that hip flexor to bring your leg forward. All right, let's switch to the other leg. Keep staying on that same leg. And we're almost there, and we're going to switch to the plank abduction right after this interval. All right, plank abduction. So we're in a plank, and we're just abducting the right side, then the left side. I mean, elevating, extending. Your feet are in abduction, right? Our legs are in abduction, I mean, and then we're extending left side, right side. Keeping that abduction in the hip. Nice extension. Good. Control that torso. No rotation, no flexion of the lower spine. Let's sit on your butt and start doing the Thai crunch or sit up. And also, again, your feet do not touch each other. They're slightly abducted. Going into flexion. Okay, switch to the plank. Keep that torso stable. Okay, on your butt, Thai sit up. Keep pumping, keep going. 15 seconds. Whew. Okay, back to the plank. Keep the torso nice and stable. No rotation of the hip, or I mean of the pelvis. The hip goes into extension only. Everything else is nice and stable. 10 more seconds. 5. Okay, back to the Thai sit-up. Last exercise. "15 seconds. 10. Keep going. 5. All right.